On NBA Today, are the third quarter Warriors back in business? We'll break down their win over the struggling Clippers shortly. Plus, y'all, the Luka Kyrie Texas two-step showed out last night. We've got a couple spicy 40 pieces on the grill. Big Perk is cooking some takes up. And ahead of the ultimate big man battle between Giannis and Embiid, we'll look back at their best duels. Will we get another instant classic? This is NBA Today. Let's get it. Hello, welcome to NBA Today, presented by Navy Federal Credit Union. It's Friday, y'all. It's a good day. I'm Shanae Ogwumike, in for my girl Malika Andrews. We've got Tristan Thompson here. Wagwan, my brother.
Wagwan, Shanae.
Holding it down for me. In Los Angeles, we've also got Zach Lowe and Kendrick Perkins joining us in just a little bit. But before, in honor of my sis Malika, we have to take you to the Bay Area because she would not have it any other way. Should I say Bay or Yay? Yay area, because it's Yay. The Warriors, they win again, hosting the Clippers. And by the way, Steph Curry, he hasn't played since February 4th with a lower leg injury. He could return Sunday, but first quarter, I mean, watch this. Oh!
That beautiful give and go, rest to Kawhi. This is why they brought him in.
So nice. The alley-oop right there, a little chemistry building. The Clippers led by 11 at half, but the third quarter Warriors would come to play, especially Jordan Poole. I mean, look at this.
This looks familiar. Third quarter Warriors. Remember seeing this back in the day? I remember.
Absolutely. And look at Jordan Poole just going to work. And watch this. These are my two favorite words in basketball. And one sign.
They won.
And
big game for him.
But you know what you can't do? You can't leave him open from three. Like, where's the defense? Knocks it down. But this next play right here summarizes, and by the way, the swag, this next play summarizes exactly what the Warriors, their intensity is, what they're trying to build as defending champs. Look at the hustle by Jordan Poole.
Never giving up. DiVincenzo, Jonathan Kuminga, who have stepped up and find a hot hand.
We have to take another look at this because this hustle is like, it's rare that you see this in competitive sports. Dive, saves the ball, stays present. Okay, hey, ball.
The ball has energy. It finds you.
And by the way,
it comes back around.
That was E40 that helped him up. That's wild. Poole outscored the Clippers by himself in the third, 22-16. Warriors were plus 26 in the third quarter. And again, this guy, it was his night. He had 34 points. The Warriors would go on to win 115-91. And that young man, oh yeah, he's talking his business right there. But one of the Warriors' mottos during the Steve Kerr era has been strength in numbers. We all know this, and their last two games prove exactly why. Golden State is the first team in the shot clock era to outscore their opponent by 35 points in the second half of consecutive games. So do not look now, but with Steph's return just right around the corner, the Warriors are starting to look like the Warriors again. They're just a game out of fourth place, which would actually hand them in the playoffs the first round home court advantage. And they are a different team. We all know this at home. So, Zach, what stood out to you over this recent Warriors win streak?
There are two reasons I've been optimistic about the Warriors somehow, some way getting on a roll at some point this season. Number one, their starting lineup has kicked butt the entire year. And number two, when they have Jordan Poole, Dante DiVincenzo, and Jonathan Kuminga on the floor in reserve units, those lineups have been good too. And Dante DiVincenzo and Jonathan Kuminga have gotten better and better for the Warriors as the season has gone on, and they showed out last night. DiVincenzo was everywhere on the glass, making cuts. He's over 40% from three for the season. And Kuminga is learning to play a little more under control, a little calmer, finding the right balance on both ends between his incredible athleticism and just playing the game. The Warriors are going to carve out a nice 8 or 9 man rotation if Andrew Wiggins and Curry come back and are ready to go. But those two guys, DiVincenzo and Kuminga, have changed their team in the last month or so.
I mean, doesn't this look like the Warriors from back in the day? Third quarter, 42 points in the third quarter. I remember being on that side. Me and Perk remember. Perk was stressed out. He had his Tom Brown suit on. He was cursing everybody out. They look like the Warriors of old, coming out after a halftime and executing Steve Kerr's game plan. You saw that the other night. And with Steph Curry out, guys have stepped up. And I really want to give a shout out to Jonathan Kuminga. I'm stamping it now. He's their Iguodala 2.0.
Ooh.
What he's able to do for this team right now, it's whether it's guard 1 through 5, if they're going small, play the small ball 5. He's a big piece, and Zach has been talking about it all year round about Kuminga, the way he stepped up and played, and they're going to need him if they're going to make this run.
Yeah, Kuminga has been great. Perk, what have you liked about the Warriors this run?
Well, one is it's been how resilient they've been, right? Responding. And I think that's huge. But also it's the health of Klay Thompson. I thought last night, 19 points, 11 boards, like them 11 rebounds were huge. But again, it comes down to what are the others going to bring outside of Klay, Steph, and Draymond. And when I look at Kuminga, I see growth, I see maturity, but that comes with time on the floor and Steve Kerr trusting them. Also, the unsung hero, the guy that everybody loves in that locker room, the guy that shows up in great fashion that gets no love, Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney, every time I turn around, he is making play after play, had a solid 11 and 8 last night, but his capability and his IQ on the defensive end is what we saw last night that affects this ball club. And we also saw it last year in the postseason when they played the Dallas Mavericks. Again, Kevon Looney, he don't get enough praise. That's the unsung hero in my opinion.
Looney, DiVincenzo, Kuminga, it's truly strength in numbers, but you guys all missed the answers because I dived into the actual numbers, and it's all about the defense, okay, guys? The Warriors have rediscovered their signature defensive identity recently, and it's been a big turnaround. Golden State has the 5th best defense since All-Star break after having the 20th ranked defense before the break. And here are a couple of examples that I dug up with the help of producer Jaron about how their defense has taken a leap. First play right here, the Warriors are in a 1-2-2 zone right here. This forces a kick out, step back 3. That's not probably the best shot you can get from that situation. Now, secondly here, if you look at this, the Warriors here are in a box in 1. Dante DiVincenzo is literally face guarding Norm Powell, who is the best shooter on the floor in this lineup, which essentially creates a 4-on-4. And last but not least, they keep switching it up because here they're in a man-to-man defense. But look at Draymond Green. Look how he matched up with Westbrook on the free throw line. And then look how he reads this here. Does not know where Westbrook is, but he knows where the shot is and is able to help. So that was huge. But Paul George, you saw that attempt right there. Let's focus on that side of the ball because speaking of the Clips, here they are after their 4th straight loss.
Just for us, like I said, we gotta just stay the course. I gotta be mentally tough, mentally strong. Can't give in, and you just gotta be tougher. And that's the bottom line. When stuff don't go your way, it shows you what you're made of. And so I'm confident that we have a good team, and they have to be the same way. They gotta feel the same confidence.
Dial in, continue to dial in. Approach tomorrow. All these teams we playing, especially in this stretch right here, is playoff teams. And so that's how we got to approach this. Be locked in as if these are playoff games to help, get into that mindset. Because we need these games right now. These aren't games that we can allow ourselves to slip. These are the games you shoot yourself in the foot when it comes to the end of the season. And we look at where we're at, and we're not happy with where we're at. So we got to have some desperation going into these games.
So after this 4-game slide, the Clippers have found themselves in the play-in picture and only have a 2-game lead over the team that they share an arena with for the 11th seed. So Big Perk, what's been the biggest reason for the Clippers' struggles?
Where do I start? Hov, Jay-Z got a line that says, less is more is plenty of us, right? And when I think of that, I think of the Clippers because they have too many of the same pieces and guys are not willing to sacrifice. And I said this last night on Twitter, I actually typed this out, is that the Clippers are a veteran version of the Houston Rockets. They are the biggest disappointment in the NBA. When it comes down to a veteran group messing up defensive assignments or not even trying, knowing that their ultimate goal is to win a championship. When you look at them on the offensive end, no one is sacrificing. No one is sacrificing their body. It's cutting to get someone else a shot. There's no communication there. There's no chemistry. And it makes it hard on Ty Lue because he's looking and he's saying, who should I play? I got this guy who deserves minutes. I might should try this guy. Well, you only can play 5 at a time and it's only one basketball. So when I look at this, to me, it falls on the hands of Paul George. And yes, people may say, well, Kawhi is the best player, but Paul George actually is the vocal leader. And when I hear him come out in interviews and on podcasts and he says things like, I can't be the number 1 option on a championship team. That that makes my damn skin crawl to hear that, because I played with a lot of franchise guys, and no matter if they were the second or third option, they would never let the world know that. They would never let their teammates know that. You know why? Because the guys feed off of his energy. And if you're the organization, how confident are you in Paul George to help you lead to get to the championship if he feel that way about himself? The Clippers are disturbing to watch. They're very disappointing. They're very selfish, and they have a problem with sacrificing, and it's hard to watch, especially when you're watching a veteran group like themselves.
Normally, Zach is the grumpy one, but okay, Big Perk. Zach, what are your thoughts on this Clippers-Rockets comp?
Oh, I'm as grumpy as Perk. First, I was on record over and over. I would not have signed Russ. I thought it was a bad idea. But if you're going to sign Russ, you have to play him only when Kawhi is on the bench and your centers are on the bench, so he has the whole paint wide open to work with. What has he done in the last 2 or 3 years? Not 5 years ago, not 6 years ago, now. What has he done to walk in the door of a brand new team, start, and get 30 minutes a game? Why is Terrence Mann all of a sudden a bit player? I don't understand it, but 2 other things about it trickle down are disturbing. I think the Russ signing looks like a Hail Mary to me, and when you make a Hail Mary, it means some people in your organization, whoever they are, do not believe in the team you built has the ability to win the championship or get as far in the playoffs as you intended them. There is a lack of belief when you make a big move like that so late in the game. And number 2, Perk nailed it. Their defense is a disaster. They're 23rd in defense since January 1st. When you consider that 4 of the 7 teams below them are not trying to win games, they're trying to win the lottery, that's embarrassing for a team that is built to be an elite defensive team. They're messing up basic coverages, switches, going under on screens against shooters, missing cutters, not communicating. They look confused, discombobulated, disconnected. I don't know what's going on, but they are running out of time to fix their season because what they're doing right now is not working.
Ooh, we are in church. This is Good Friday.
Well, we know that Perk doesn't write all his tweets. He says it's the one he actually wrote himself. So that's the one thing. We have a ghost tweeter. Thank you, Perk, for letting us know on national TV. But listen, everybody needs to stop panicking. Listen, out of their 4 losses, 2 are in overtime against 2 really good teams, the Kings and the Nuggets. Relax. Listen, Coach Tyronn Lue, if any coach can get the ship back in order and everything back right, it's Tyronn Lue, and I believe that. Listen, you're adding a dynamic point guard with Russell Westbrook. It takes time. Everyone calm down. You guys are making it sound like they're the Houston Rockets, comparing them. Like, this is ridiculous now. Calm down, guys.
I would ask Perk to respond, but he took his earpiece out, so I guess we'll have to save it for another day. Perk, final word?
He has a ghost tweeter. I just found that out.
What I did was I took my earpiece out once Tristan started saying everybody relax, because I knew he was about to start talking a whole bunch of nonsense.
And on that note,
I didn't want to hear a damn word he had to say.
Since we're talking about so much Twitter. Wait, what, Zach?
They are either the most expensive or the second most expensive team in the history of the NBA, and they are one lousy game over 500, 65 games into the season in the play-in tournament in year 4 of Paul George and Kawhi. If it's not time to panic now, when are we panicking? When is it panic time? Now!
Sound the alarm. We will continue the debate during the break, because still to come on NBA Today, we've got a good one to talk about. Luka and Kyrie were all that and then some last night. But was that a performance enough to put them into Tristan's top teammate tandems? Who knows? Plus, the Grizzlies and the...
Hello, Lakers Nation. Welcome in. Trevor Lane here for LakersNation.com with a big update on LeBron James and his timeline to return from injury. The Lakers announced today that LeBron will be reevaluated in 3 weeks after sustaining an injury to a tendon in his right foot. So, a 3-week reevaluation period. What does that really mean? Well, anytime we hear the word reevaluate, that does not mean the same thing as return. We always throw that caution out there. That means that LeBron is going to get checked out again in 3 weeks. And then at that point, even if everything is perfect, everything is great, he's given the green light to return to the floor, usually you need a ramp-up period before the player's actually going to get back in action. So 3 weeks from now, that means best case. I'm talking best case scenario. It's possible 3 weeks from now, LeBron gets reevaluated. They say, yeah, the foot's healing, but he's still not ready. If that's the case, we could be talking about perhaps the end of the season for LeBron James. That's the downside to this injury. The upside, the positive here is, let's say in 3 weeks he's ready to go. Takes him at least a few days to ramp back up. We're probably talking about LeBron returning at most with 5 or 6 games left in the season. The reevaluation would happen right before the Lakers' next matchup against Oklahoma City Thunder, which is coming up on the 24th. So effectively, what this news means, now that the Lakers have given us something of a timeline here, is that the Lakers are going to have to make the playoffs without LeBron. That's essentially what they're saying here. They're going to have to make this playoff push without LeBron James. The very best case scenario would only have him back for a handful of games. And if that is possible, they absolutely should try to bring him back at that point, because if they do, over the next few weeks, manage to battle their way back into the postseason, you would like to give LeBron a few games to sort of get his rhythm again, get his legs under him before the Lakers head into what would likely be a play-in scenario. Now, Anthony Davis, of course, fingers crossed that he will play tomorrow against the Minnesota Timberwolves. D'Angelo Russell, we know it will already be out. Going to be critical that both of those guys are available as much as possible, probably for every game, essentially, if the Lakers are going to be able to make this postseason push without LeBron. So what was already going to be a difficult task now becomes that much harder. Basically, they have to win games without LeBron in order to get into the postseason. And of course, that's going to be another factor here. If the wheels fall off, if the Lakers aren't able to get enough wins, if they find themselves on the outside looking in upon LeBron's reevaluation date, it's possible the Lakers will just say, you know what, let's just call it a season for LeBron. No sense bringing him back if we don't truly have a shot at getting into the mix. Obviously, that's not the path we want to go down. Best case scenario from here, the Lakers find a way. They did it last night against the Thunder. Find a way to win games, stack up enough wins in order to make it to the postseason. LeBron comes back just in time, and then you can make some noise in the playoffs. But that's going to require the current players to stay healthy and the team to find a way to get the job done without LeBron. Lakers Nation, I know it's not the best news, but give me your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget, subscribe right here to the Lakers Nation YouTube channel. We'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of the Los Angeles Lakers. Till next time, stay safe and see ya. Hello, Lakers Nation. Welcome in. Trevor Lane here for LakersNation.com. This is the LakersNation.com live podcast. If you're joining me live over on AMP, welcome. We'll be taking some call-in questions and comments in just a moment. If you're watching the YouTube version of this, make sure you are subscribing to the LakersNation.com YouTube channel, youtube.com/LakersNation. Of course, if you are listening to the podcast version over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, I'd love to get some more reviews over on the Apple Podcast side. So if you guys wouldn't mind, take a few minutes, not even minutes, a few seconds really, and give us a 5-star rating and review over on Apple Podcasts. Sure would appreciate it. Great way to help out the show. Lots to talk about tonight. Lots to get into here. The Lakers take on the Minnesota Timberwolves tomorrow. We do have the injury report or injury update for that game. No LeBron, no D'Angelo Russell. Anthony Davis probable to play. So it looks like he will be a go for that game. Same thing with Dennis Schroeder. It's weird, isn't it? Dennis Schroeder, it looked like his ankle was going to break off. That ankle injury that he suffered last night against OKC, last night as we're recording this, that looked horrific. That was the stuff of nightmares. I thought that Dennis Schroeder was going to be out for weeks. It was 10 times worse than what we saw happen to D'Angelo Russell. And yet Schroeder played the remainder of the game, scored 26 points. He was the man of the match, in my opinion. He got the Superstar of the Night award on the LakersNation.com postgame show. And yet he's still probable to play tomorrow. Probable to play against the Wolves. It's unbelievable. His ankles must be made of adamantium or something. I don't know how this is possible. You just never know. And that's not me trying to criticize D'Angelo Russell. Certainly not. You never know how ankle is going to respond when you get that kind of stretching going on. But Schroeder's looked way worse, and somehow he's not going to miss any time. And D'Angelo Russell's didn't look bad at all, and he's going to miss, 4 games? Pretty crazy the way that goes sometimes. But we also got a little bit of news here right before we started the show that Steph Curry, according to Chris Haynes, will indeed return for the Golden State Warriors. Right now, the Warriors are battling the Clippers. And for the Lakers' perspective, the Warriors winning that game would be beneficial. The Clippers are up, though, 44-36 at halftime. Yikes. Wait, I need to refresh that. It's 56-45 now at halftime. Clippers are up over the Warriors. Still a low-scoring half for Golden State. But Curry's going to return on Sunday against the Lakers. Because, of course, that's been happening all season long. I'm shocked that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander didn't come back just to play one game. COVID protocols and all, just to play against the Lakers. It seems like all season we've been having star players come back just in time to see your Los Angeles Lakers. So the Lakers, assuming they get a healthy D'Angelo Russell on Sunday, which is not a given, but if they do get him on Sunday, he'll be playing against Steph Curry for the Golden State Warriors. So that news coming out, the Lakers can't seem to catch a break on the injury front on either side, whether it's opponents or their own injury updates. By the way, we also got an update today about LeBron James. I went over it on the Lakers Nation YouTube channel. Again, youtube.com/Lakers Nation. LeBron will be reevaluated. This is directly from the Lakers, notifying us that the LeBron will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. 3 weeks before he's reevaluated. And that word is so key. Reevaluate, not return, but reevaluate in 3 weeks. What that means is that, well, he's out at least 3 weeks, probably 4. Because typically what happens here is even if at that reevaluation point, LeBron gets the green light, he's totally cleared to play. Well, he's been off of his foot for 3 weeks now, right? He hasn't been doing anything because he's trying to heal. Right now, there was pictures of him going around at a high school basketball game, and he's in the boot still. He's in the walking boot. So if you are LeBron and you're staying off of this foot, you're not doing any kind of high intensity training or anything like that. You're not doing any cardio or anything. So if that's the situation that you're in, you're going to need a little bit of time to ramp back up. So even if 3 weeks from now, LeBron gets the green light, it's going to take him probably at least another week to get back out on the floor and actually return to action. So most likely, best case scenario, the Lakers will get 4 or 5 games out of LeBron James, and that's if he gets the green light in 3 weeks. Best case before the end of the regular season. In other words, the Lakers are going to have to make their playoff push without LeBron. They're going to have to find some way to battle their way through. On these shows where we bring in the AMP app and we let people call in, I always start the show with a song. I've mentioned it before, but AMP has this incredible lineup of music that you can pull from. And so the song I started with, well, I went with the classic pump-up song, Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. Oh, boy. The Lakers are going to need to have the Eye of the Tiger over the next few weeks here. No LeBron, but can they get it done? Got it done last night against OKC. They are 1 game out right now. 1 game behind the Pelicans for the 10 seed in the Western Conference. That's all they got to shoot for right now. I'm not necessarily worried about the 6 seed. Can you just get yourself into the mix, give LeBron a chance to come back, and then let the chips fall where they may in the play-in tournament in the postseason? It's not going to be an easy task. And I know that's what we've got to talk about tonight. We've got a lot of people waiting to call in on this. So let's jump right into it. Let's go here to start things off. I'm going to try to get through as many as we can this evening. And we'll bring in our first caller here. We're going to go to Rob Ferrelli. If we can get him in. Nope. Maybe. There we go. Rob, welcome in. How are you doing? Rob, you're on mute.
Hey, Trevor.
Hey, Rob. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing the best I can to deal with some of the news that we got in the past few days, but otherwise in good spirits and excited just to watch, some of these next upcoming games, How about you?
Yeah, it's been tough. Certainly, we've been getting a lot of negative news lately. D'Angelo Russell missing more games than we thought. Anthony Davis, we got that surprise news that he was going to be out against the Thunder. That was certainly a shock. And now we've got the update on LeBron that it's not a 2-week wait till he gets reevaluated. It's a 3-week wait now. It's been rough, but at the same time, the team has managed to keep their head above water. So we'll see. You've got opportunities. If you can beat the Minnesota Timberwolves, if you can beat the Warriors coming up on Sunday with Steph Curry, not an easy task, but if you can pull stuff like that off, well, you can very well find yourself in the playoff mix. How are you? Are you feeling optimistic right now? They can get it done.
Well, you know what? It's funny because even with LeBron out, even with AD missing games, D'Lo out, I'm still always excited to watch the Lakers play, especially with this team. And that's kind of that's one of the points that I wanted to get into with, to start the show, because we've seen in the past, especially after the 2021 season, where, I think the majority of Laker fans knew that the team was good, right? And when it came to the playoffs, and injuries piled up, we didn't have our full unit going forward.
Mm-hmm.
We fell short, and there was a reaction to that in the offseason. I'm hoping now, and I think it's fair to say that the majority of Lakers fans thought that was a good team with, LeBron,
Yes.
AD, Kuzma, Caruso, KCP still in the squad, signing Andre Drummond. I know you mentioned it a bunch of times, a lot of the players wanted to run it back.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the fans wanted to see it too. I'm just hoping, and I want to get your thoughts on whether or not, these 3 weeks without LeBron, let's say the possibility happens that the Lakers can't make a playoff push and they kind of just float around the standings and stay where they're at. Does Rob's perspective on the team kind of change in terms of, hey, we're going to have to make some changes to make a push? Or is he going to know that with LeBron being healthy, that this roster, can compete and that there's still an opportunity for them to give them a chance to prove that?
Yeah, that is one of the big subplots here, because as much as we're focused on, are they going to make the playoffs or not? We're doing a standings watch, right? Every day I'm putting out on my Twitter account, like what Lakers fans should be rooting for at Trevor_Lane. I put that out there so we know what is it you want to see in each night's matchups. By the way, we're 0 for 1 tonight with the earlier game with the 76ers falling to the Dallas Mavericks. But despite all of that, of course, being the main focus here, the subplot to all of this is, what is this team going to be moving forward? Are they going to keep these guys or not? And the next 3 weeks or so may very well determine that. Now, I don't think we're going to go into the offseason and see this exact team brought back, but there are a lot of parallels to the 2020-2021 season. It's feeling more like that. How many times did we say back then, hey, just get healthy for the playoffs, just get healthy for the playoffs, and then you're the team that nobody wants to see in round one? And then we said, well, they probably win round one if Anthony Davis didn't get hurt against the Phoenix Suns. It's feeling very similar to that season. And you're right. After that, everybody thought, hey, I even thought they're going to bring this team back for the most part. And instead, they completely blew it up and they went and got Russell Westbrook. And we all know what happened from there. I think that the next 3 or 4 weeks are going to determine ultimately what the Lakers do, because if they do bring this team back, it's not like you just bring them back and you're set and you're off and running. You're bringing them back and you're probably going to have to pay the luxury tax to do so, to keep everybody. I think there's going to be some moves around the margins either way. I don't think they can resist the temptation to tinker with the roster to some degree, but my hope is that they will bring the core back. They'll bring most of these players back because they'll show well enough during the next 3 or 4 weeks that you say, okay, we've really got something here. My fear is if they don't, that temptation out there, go back to that 3-star model, go chase Kyrie Irving. My fear is that if they don't play well enough over the next 3 or 4 weeks, that temptation might be too great. And then we see history repeat itself. Now, I'm not saying Kyrie would be the same situation as Russ, but I would prefer to see the team move forward with the current style roster build than go back to that 3-star build. And that's my concern, is that if they don't play well right now, we could see them go back to that.
And that fear is very real, because now the team has the contracts to pile up to go make a move like that, right? Very similar to when they made the move for us, and there are guys, out there, obviously Kyrie is kind of the main guy, but there are also some fringe star players that you don't really know, like could Bradley Beal, request a trade? Could Zach LaVine finally be on the move? The Lakers still have, suitable draft capital to move and the contracts now to do it. So that fear is real, right? And I'm really just hoping for consistency. I don't feel like we've had that since the championship year. And I feel once we just have LeBron, AD healthy, one game plan going forward, the roster makes sense, the starting lineup's the same every day. I feel right now in the NBA that chemistry is kind of like a lot more important than I think teams are considering, because I feel that what we're seeing now with LeBron, what we've seen with AD this year, a lot of teams are just like, all right, let's get healthy for the playoffs. And then by the time the playoffs come, there's really not like that chemistry built for teams to stay in a long-term playoff run.
Oh, could you imagine hitting the regular season and having a whole team, like start the 2023 season and have a whole team full of guys who know the system, who were Lakers at the end of the previous season and can just hit the ground running instead of game by game. Okay, let's figure out what should the rotation be? Who should be in this lineup? Who should be doing that? To have a team that already has that already down pat because they were doing it last year. We haven't seen that in years now from the Lakers, and I feel like they're at a disadvantage at the start of every season because of it.
Combined for 82 points in the Mavs win last night. Kai had 40 points while Doncic had 42 and 12 assists. They became the first Mavs teammates ever to score at least 40 points in a game as Dallas really outlasted Philly. It was an impressive outcome for them because they closed the game with 18 of the Mavs' 23 fourth quarter points. It was very clutch. And you know, when we talk about these guys, we always have to bring in our own because these guys are the talk of the town. Right now, we're joined with Tim McMahon, who's joining the show. And, oh, hey, Tim, you were in the building. So what stood out from these 240 pieces from the guys everyone's been waiting for?
Yeah, and this was not your turn, my turn type of basketball. These guys are talented enough where they can do that and they can still be effective. But this was a case, coming off Kyrie Irving saying he felt like he was maybe putting too much pressure on himself, where Luka Doncic really made it a priority to get Kyrie rolling early, and not at the expense of his own offense. Luka had 17 in the first quarter, but his first 6 assists of the night were all to Kyrie. 8 of his 12 assists were to Kyrie Irving, and some of it is set plays, some of it is just pushing the pace a little bit, which isn't necessarily Luka's tendency, and looking for Kyrie up the floor. The dagger 3 at the end of the game came that way. Obviously, 2 unbelievably explosive talents. When they are working together, when they are, figuring out how to create synergy, these guys are obviously going to be very difficult to stop.
Well, this is perfect timing because the Mavs, they have a couple of nights off, but the big game is Sunday on ABC because Kevin Durant and the Suns come to Dallas. So Kyrie and KD face off for the first time since leaving Brooklyn. So what are you expecting from this one?
A whole lot of points, first of all. and look, Luka last night, and people focus on the record, 2-4 with Luka and Kyrie on the floor together. Those 4 losses all come in crunch time situations. The Mavs aren't worried about that. They're worried about, can they get enough stops to compete with the elite teams in the league? Last night, Sixers on a back-to-back, but still quality win. Look, I don't know who's guarding Kevin Durant. I don't know who's guarding Devin Booker. The answer used to be Dorian Finney-Smith was going to take one or the other. Well, you had to give him up. He's in Brooklyn. You had to give him up to get Kyrie Irving. So the Mavericks have a lot of answers on the offensive end, or 2 really good answers on the offensive end, I should say, and a whole lot of questions on the defensive end.
Okay, hopefully soon those questions will be answered. Stick around, Tim. We'll need you a little bit later in the show. But I want to stay with this new Texas two-step. I actually had to do square dancing in elementary school because the Mavs duo will look to keep it going. Their next 3 games are against Phoenix, Utah, and New Orleans. Maybe they finally turned a corner. But I love it when I get to talk nerdy to y'all because Luka Doncic has never had a teammate as dynamic as Kyrie Irving, and that truly showed against the Sixers. Doncic assisted, as you heard Tim say, on 8 of Kyrie's makes. And watch this. This is here off of the dribble. I'm talking about the second most assists Luka has had to any teammate in his career. Now watch this. You saw it off the dribble, but now you're seeing a double drag screen, which is 2 screens right here. There's a curl. Great screen, Dwight Powell, my Stanford guy. And there's nice little bucket right there as well. You just think about this, like, hey, big picture. They did take a couple of losses, but it seems like they're starting to figure things out between Luka and Kyrie. So this duo is starting to heat up. And of course, we have to talk to Zach because he loves to talk nerdy and numbers with me as well. So what do you think of their performances, the one we've seen most recently between Kyrie and Luka, Zach?
I think they're exactly the team we expected them to be. Incredible offensively without having to do anything fancy, and a little bit of a problem on defense, and Tim nailed it. They missed Dorian Finney-Smith. They are suddenly really small on the wing and have to make a lot of tough trade-offs to get more defense on the floor. But look, when they have those two guys on the floor together, they are going to score a ton of points. Just having Kyrie one pass away from Luka on the pick and roll. If Luka is willing to get off the ball early, boom, Kyrie attacks the gap, he goes. We saw Kyrie set some ball screens for Luka last night. That's something I think they're going to lean into more and more as they gain chemistry. What are you going to do about that? You can't switch, you can't hedge, you can't trap, you're dead. They're going to play a lot of 125, 123 kind of games. Can you win a title like that? Can you win 3 or 4 playoff series like that? I'm skeptical that they have enough defense to do that, but they're not going to be fun to play against, I'll tell you that much.
Defense is a mandatory for a championship, but I love it when Zach gets hyped because they're ball screens, and how are you going to guard that? What defense are you going to use? Thank you so much, Zach. But when we think about, Kyrie and tag teaming with so many great players, I mean, this is the first time that the Mavs teammates ever combined for 40-plus. And watch this. We've seen this before a little bit, right? From Kyrie Irving playing with another guy that's great off ball, Tristan Thompson.
That's a great screen, by the way, that I said. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. This is one of my favorite series, the 2016 finals, in a must-win game against the Warriors, 41 apiece. What did that performance lead to?
I mean, it led to that beautiful jewelry I got in my deposit box.
Where is